Okay, wow. Get this. We are going right into the Oval Office during the Trump presidency.
Right.
You know, you sent this video and it's Trump, it's Pence, it's Zelensky.
Right.
And it's like the first 35 days of his first term. So before March 4th, 2025.
Yeah.
It's like a time capsule.
It is.
To see how Trump did foreign policy up close and personal.
Absolutely.
And maybe even answer this question like, did his style help or hurt the chances for peace in Ukraine?
It's fascinating to see this meeting, knowing what we know now. You know, Trump's still early in his presidency,
Yeah.
trying to, establish himself on the world stage.
Right.
And the dynamics with Zelensky are, well,
They're revealing.
revealing,
Or
to
revealing.
say the least.
So right out of the gate, the meeting starts with Trump talking about like a past negotiations spat. That, he says, ended well for the U.S., getting access to rare earth minerals in Ukraine. He keeps saying like digging. It's like he's really into this like tangible win. What's the big deal with these minerals?
So rare earth minerals are essential for, so many technologies.
Yeah.
Particularly defense and high-tech industries. Think smartphones, electric car batteries, even guided missiles.
Oh, wow.
Ukraine happens to have a bunch of deposits
Okay.
of some of these really important, critical minerals like neodymium and yttrium.
Okay.
These are the things they use in magnets and lasers.
Right.
For Trump, getting these resources, it's strategic. He wants to reduce U.S. reliance on other suppliers,
I see.
like maybe China, potentially.
Okay.
And he also wants to, pump up our industries.
Right. So it's not just about like digging in the dirt. It's about like who has the power.
Exactly. And it plays right into how Trump presents himself in this meeting. He goes on about how he's like the peacemaker
Really?
between Russia and Ukraine, even saying that he could have prevented the whole war
Wow.
if he'd been president earlier.
Wow. Okay, so he is putting himself out there as like a master negotiator. Like, I'm the guy, I can get it done.
That's exactly it. He's the guy who commands respect, on the world stage,
Yeah.
can get those deals done, that others just can't.
Wow.
He even compares himself to, at one point,
No way.
George Washington and Abraham Lincoln.
Seriously. He went there.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. He puts himself in that lineage
Okay.
of like strong American leaders.
I mean, that's a bold claim. So what about Zelensky? Like, what's he think of all this?
So Zelensky, he delivers a very passionate plea for continued U.S. support.
Okay.
He emphasizes the bravery of Ukrainian soldiers and how desperately they need advanced weapons, especially air defense systems. He even brings up the possibility
Okay.
of working together in the future on stuff like drone technology.
So he's like appealing to shared values, but also being practical, like, hey, we can work together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's this really powerful moment. Zelensky shares these images
Yeah.
of Ukrainian prisoners of war.
Oh, wow.
They're gaunt, clearly mistreated.
That's heavy.
It really drives home how brutal this conflict is.
Wow. Yeah, that's like a reality check right there compared to all this talk about, deals and negotiations.
It really is. It leads right into this fascinating dynamic where Trump starts talking about the U.S.-Ukraine relationship, like in terms of money.
Okay.
He's framing the aid and security guarantees as investments.
Yeah.
He's talking about returns. What's the American taxpayer getting out of this?
So he's bringing like that business mindset, even when he's talking about war
It seems that way.
and potential loss of life.
And it's notable because he directly compares
Yeah.
his approach with what European countries are offering. He criticizes them
Right.
because it's mostly like loans.
Right.
He's really highlighting how he's focused on immediate gains and minimizing risk,
Right.
which is pretty consistent with his America First approach, right?
Right. Yeah. But is that the right move? I mean, shouldn't the focus be on stopping the war, even if it costs something?
It's a really important question.
Yeah.
And it gets to the heart of all this debate about Trump's foreign policy.
Right.
Was he being, pragmatic, looking out for America's interests?
Right.
Or was he missing the bigger picture? Was he being short-sighted?
Yeah. So are they all just like sitting around a table, politely discussing these things?
Not really.
Yeah.
There's actually moments of tension and disagreement,
Okay.
especially between Pence and Zelensky.
Okay.
And Trump ends up stepping in
Okay.
to mediate, which,
I bet.
whether he means to or not,
Yeah.
puts him in the power position.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Give me an example of one of those tense moments. What are they clashing over?
Well, one of them gets pretty heated. It's about Zelensky refusing to wear a suit
Really?
to the meeting.
Seriously?
A reporter even asks,
Oh, wow.
whether Americans might be offended.
Really, they are worried about, like, a dress code in the middle of a war.
It does seem a little strange.
Yeah.
But Trump makes a bit of a deal out of it. Even joking about Zelensky having problems, offering to get him a better suit.
He is focusing on what Zelensky is wearing in the middle of all this.
Yeah, it seems a little odd.
Yeah.
Right, but it actually reveals a lot about who's really in control here.
I see.
Zelensky, who's visibly annoyed, pushes back, saying he'll wear a suit
Okay.
when the war is over.
Okay.
It's like a subtle act of defiance.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be bullied by you.
Right. So, like, even small things like clothes can mean a lot in these big meetings.
Absolutely. It's just one example
Yeah.
of all the clashes
Right.
and subtle, like, power moves that happen throughout this meeting.
All right, this is already really interesting. So we got Trump pushing that deal maker image. Zelensky's like desperate for support, and there's like this tension right below the surface. Where do we go from here?
Well, next we get into Trump's insistence on diplomacy as the solution, but his approach might surprise you.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's do it.
Trump keeps saying he believes in diplomacy, that talking to Putin directly is the best way to get peace. But then he just drops his bomb, he claims, that he's got this long-standing relationship with Putin, that they get each other. He even brings up, the whole Russia hoax, saying Putin was unfairly targeted, and this somehow creates a bond between them.
Well, the Russia hoax, for people who might not remember, what's he talking about?
So he's talking about those investigations into Russian interference, in the 2016 U.S. election, which Trump has always said is fake news, a witch hunt.
Right.
It's interesting that he brings it up here, almost like he's trying to, connect with Putin over it. Like, they've both been wrong by the same people.
So is he saying that, like, having this shared experience with Putin gives him an advantage in these talks? Like, they're buddies now.
It seems like it, but it raises a big question. Can he be objective?
Right.
Is he letting his personal feelings about Putin affect his judgment on this a really important global issue? This is where, Trump's business background might be coming in.
Okay, yeah.
In business. Personal relationships can be good. But international relations are a whole different thing.
So this isn't just about closing a deal. There's more at stake.
Exactly. And you see this when they talk about security guarantees for Ukraine.
Okay.
Zelensky really wants them. But Trump keeps deflecting.
Okay.
He's saying stuff like, security's not the main thing right now. Once the fighting stops, security will follow.
Wait. So he's just saying, like, trust me, it will all work out.
Kind of like that. He even suggests that Ukraine, won't even need that much security because the peace deal itself will be enough to scare off Russia.
But Zelensky has seen what Russia can do.
Yeah.
How can he just take Trump's word?
That's a good point. For Zelensky, security guarantees, those aren't just words. It's a real sign that the U.S. and its allies have their back.
Right.
But Trump seems to see it as like a problem, something that's making the deal harder.
It's like they aren't even speaking the same language.
It's a great way to put it. And then it gets even worse. When they talk about U.S. troops in Europe, a reporter asks about it. Trump says, yeah, our NATO allies, like France and the U.K., they've pledged troops. But he doesn't actually say what the U.S. will do.
So he's not ruling it out, but he's not exactly giving Zelensky a lot of hope either.
Exactly. And remember, this is all happening with Trump's America First policy in the background.
Right.
He's been really critical of NATO. He thinks it's a waste of U.S. money.
Right.
He doesn't want to commit American troops to a conflict that he thinks could have been avoided.
But isn't that like sending mixed messages? I mean, he's saying he wants peace, but he doesn't want to really get involved.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah. And it feeds into this feeling of uncertainty. That kind of hangs over the whole meeting.
You're right.
Zelensky wants solid assurances. But Trump is just offering these vague promises and talking about how much the U.S. has already done.
Like, he keeps bringing up the billions in aid and the Javelin missiles that the U.S. gave Ukraine.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says it over and over, how much they've contributed.
Yeah.
He compares it to what other presidents did, who he says were weak and ineffective.
Yeah.
He even says that Ukraine should be grateful.
Wow.
And not ask for more.
But gratitude isn't going to stop tanks and missiles. Zelensky needs action, not just words.
You got it.
Yeah.
And that's the heart of the tension here.
Yeah.
Trump's thinking like a businessman.
Yeah.
Focused on deals and leverage.
Right.
Zelensky's fighting for his country to survive.
Right.
He needs more than just words.
Right.
He needs to know that the leader of the free world is with him.
So we have these two leaders with totally different ways of seeing the world.
Right.
Clashing personalities.
Yeah.
And a lot of tension, just waiting to erupt.
Yeah.
What happens next? Does it all just blow up?
Let's just say, the meeting doesn't end peacefully. There's this moment where Zelensky directly challenges Trump. And that's where it gets interesting.
Okay, I can't wait to hear what happens next.
You know how Trump keeps saying Ukraine should be more grateful?
Yeah.
Well, Zelensky finally pushes back.
Okay.
He's like, look, Ukraine isn't just taking handouts.
Right, yeah.
We're actively defending Europe's security.
So he's like calling out Trump's whole transactional thing.
He is. Zelensky's saying Ukrainian soldiers are on the front lines, risking their lives to hold back Russia.
Yeah.
He's basically saying they're acting as a shield for the rest of Europe, stopping the conflict from spreading.
So he's making it clear that helping Ukraine isn't just about charity. It's like a strategic thing for the whole Western world.
Exactly. He even says if Russia's not stopped in Ukraine, they'll just move on to other countries.
Right.
Like Poland, the Baltic states.
Wow.
It's a serious warning.
Yeah.
He wants Trump to understand, what's really at stake here.
It's almost like he's saying, this isn't just your problem, Mr. President. This is our problem.
Yeah, and he challenges Trump on something else. This idea of accepting a ceasefire without any security guarantees. Zelensky says that's pointless.
Right.
Because Russia, they break agreements.
Right.
He brings up examples of Putin violating ceasefires in the past.
Okay.
Showing that Russia, you just can't trust them to keep their word.
Yeah, but wouldn't any ceasefire, even a temporary one, be better than more fighting?
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But Zelensky sees it differently.
Okay.
He's saying a ceasefire without real protections would only make Russia stronger,
right?
Give them time to regroup, prepare for more attacks.
Yeah.
He's basically saying without guarantees, any peace is just an illusion.
Right. It's like making a deal with someone who's already lied to you.
Yeah. And this gets to the core of the difference between Trump and Zelensky.
Okay.
Trump's thinking about this like it's a business deal,
right?
Just a negotiation where everyone wins.
Right.
But for Zelensky, this is about survival, whether his nation lives or dies.
So even if Trump wants to help, his whole approach might be wrong.
Yeah.
Because he's not seeing the real danger that Ukraine faces.
You got it. And this difference,
yeah,
it's even more clear when Zelensky defends Ukrainian national identity. He shoots down Putin's claim that Ukraine isn't a real country.
Right.
He talks about their language, their culture, their history.
It's like he's reminding everyone that Ukraine isn't just some land on a map. It's a real country with real people who deserve a future.
Exactly. And he's not giving up on that.
Right.
He says clearly he will not give up any territory to Russia.
Wow.
Even if the war goes on longer.
So Trump wants a fast solution, but Zelensky's holding firm.
It's like pragmatism versus idealism.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
what makes this whole meeting so interesting.
Yeah.
We see two leaders.
Yeah.
Totally different ways of thinking.
Right.
Trying to handle a conflict with no easy answers.
And how does the meeting end? Is there any, sense of agreement?
Not really. As it wraps up, it's clear they're still worlds apart. Trump's talking about deals, personal diplomacy.
Right.
Zelensky's holding out for strong guarantees and real support for Ukraine's right to exist.
So it sounds like this meeting was just the beginning.
You could say that. It leaves us with this big question. What should America's role be in this conflict?
Yeah.
And what are we, as a country, willing to sacrifice to defend what we believe in?
Big questions, no easy answers. But this deep dive, it's given us a whole new way to think about the U.S. and Ukraine under Trump and how tough diplomacy can be when personalities clash and the world is changing.
It shows that foreign policy isn't just some abstract thing. It affects real people.
Right.
The choices leaders make, they have consequences for everyone.
So for everyone listening, as you follow what's happening in the world, remember there's always more than one side to the story. And even small things can tell us a lot about power and principles and the human cost of war.
Keep asking questions. Keep digging deeper. That's what the deep dive is all about.